man. I grew up in the fucking metal era. I started smoking pot when I was 11 years old. I took acid when I was 11 years old. I just gotten pubic hair only a year and a half before, probably. But the acid was strong back then and it was fun. My friends put it in my Pepsi. Why? Because I mentioned Dave Schneider. And I used to do that every, I'd get out of school, ninth grade, or sixth grade, ride my skateboard from school all the way down to Steve's house. And Steve had the party house in Rotterdam. It was notorious. All the kids from uh, Shauma and Shenendahoa and a couple kids from Honasan, all these Indian Dutch names, these schools, Shauma, Shenendahoa, and Mahanasan, would meet up on the weekends at Steve's. Steve was a guitar player. He was a skateboarder too. That's how we met. And I was a little bit better than him at 11 years old because I had been playing since I was like 9. So I'd teach him stuff, and I joined my first band. It was like 1988. It was a band called my first band was called Youth Destruction, but then it turned into another band called Black Friday in '88, and I that's when we started playing. Like 2 years later, we started doing house parties at this party house. And so I guess my first show was 12 and a half or 13 years old. And we'd go there for the weekend. Steve's father died. He was in the military, so he had his mother. Shut the fuck up. His mother had a military benefit card for food. It was fucking great. She'd get bags of chicken wings, huge tubs of ice cream. I used to eat really good at Steve's. I loved it. Steaks, all kinds of shit. And his mother would take off every weekend. She'd go far away to her boyfriend's. I don't remember her ever being there. I would go there all week though, but we'd wait for Friday. And the little baggies of paper acid hits would come out. We'd be waiting by the phone most of the afternoon for someone to call back with some weed or acid. Acid was readily available. Sometimes it was more available than weed. And they had a bong, they had a bowl. I don't remember us smoking joints for some reason. We didn't really smoke joints. And I used to clear their bongs for them when they were done smoking it. They'd leave some left over, and I'd clear their bong because I didn't want to full on smoke it for some reason. Get high. And Steve he had girlfriends too, and sometimes they were there. He had Stephanie, and he had that person that looked like Sherry Barbarillo. I loved Sherry. Sherry was nice to me. Then she became my sister's friend later on. She was a nice girl. That was Jamie King knew her too. But that has nothing to do with my Francis. Sherry wasn't really. Yeah, she was. She was kind of a metal girl, but the girls they wore Metallica T-shirts. All the girls in my junior high and high school, but they probably listened to things like Poison or Warrant or whatever was out then. But that's how all the little girls dressed. I remember tight jeans, little boots, denim or leather jackets with fringe. And we used to, and when it was nice out, we'd go out in the middle of the night and do this thing we called yard hopping. We would run through people's backyards in the suburbs because he lived in the suburbs. And one time I got clotheslined by a fence, so we stopped doing that. We used to go over to our friend Bram's house. Steve would shit in the pool, throw a log of shit in the pool. He had an obsession with Bramhoggett's pool. Then they throw me in. They threw me in the pool once in February, and that's how. And then late at night, Steve's degenerate cousin Joey would come home from drinking at the bars at 3 or 4 in the morning, and he was just repulsive. He'd come in, he'd start fights with everybody, pass out on the couch, piss himself. Just disgusting. I just remember all this now. He'd piss himself a lot. He was a piece of shit. I hated him. And he'd start fights with me. What if I take you home to your old man right now? Show him how fucked up you are. Show him how fucked up I am. You're the one that's gonna pass out on the couch and piss yourself again. Fucking animal. And then Sunday would come, and that's the kind of shit we would do. Ride around on our skateboards and take acid. My little Francis girl's just like that. Steve used to put me in the closet. This was hot, and he'd be like, "Wait right here," and then he'd go get his girlfriend, close the door, and fuck the shit out of her while I'm in there watching through the little blinds at 11 years old. Seen Sherry get fucked a zillion times. What Sherry got to do with it though? I haven't thought of her in years. Why? Because I like that song, Sherry? I doubt it has anything to do with Sherry Barbarella. Makes me think of sitting in a cafe with Francis. I'm about to go home and mange that puss. Want to go home and mange my puss? Yeah, yeah, that's just what I was thinking. Mange. Wow. All you can eat, fucker. That's right. Panty clad hottie. Panty clad bitch. She won't put her pants on. I love it that way. We get home, the pants come off. Time to mange puss? Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, wouldn't you kill your friend if he did that to you? Because these guys are all about to graduate high school, and I'm only 11 years old. And they used to, I told you this 100 times about that. They used to sell these 1 liters of Pepsi. Remember 1 liters? They were delicious. 1 liters of Pepsi, and I was drinking one day. And they used to terrorize this guy, Jay Ruller. He was adopted. He was our drummer. And he had his eyes looked a certain way. So Steve used to torment him and tell him that his that his father was an Asian man. So they used to beat the shit out of each other. One time I got the shit beat out of me one time. And Steve had to intercept because there was always house parties. I got beat down. And it was nice. I liked hanging out with Steve. And at the end of the night, we'd make a huge batch of deep fried chicken wings because he had a deep fryer too. It was nice. His father died, provided him with through the military, provided him a decent living because he lived in a really nice suburb. But if his father wasn't who he was, he would probably be in Schenectady with me. He always seemed like he didn't belong in the suburbs. He seemed like a city kind of guy. But Steve's a cook now. He's sweet. He's a sweet guy. And I remember him cooking a lot back then. He'd make us teriyaki steaks and shit like that. Real advanced cooking for an 18-year-old. And then the girlfriends would come over and everybody be finger banging their girlfriend in the same room with me. And I'd have to. It was highly sexual back then when I was a little boy. You'd have to look around with these gorgeous high school chicks in cheerleader outfits getting finger banged by metalheads. Stop looking at us. I can't help it. I'm surrounded by all this pussy. Yeah, there'd be like, and then other bands would come over and bring their girlfriends and it'd be fuck fest. There'd be a chick in his mother's bedroom. I'd be sleeping on the side of the couch. There's some hot chick riding a metal dick, fucking moaning. This guy's got his girlfriend's titties out. Fuck fest. There was a big peace sign on the roof too. They got high one time. His mother flipped the fuck out, and they climbed down the roof and painted a big giant peace sign because you could see the roof from the road. And for some reason, the cops never came once, even during those house parties that we used to have. I remember my first gig there, playing through a fucking Fender bass, man, that was taller than me. This was only like 12. I did Francis in the Nadu house. I took her upstairs in Jay's room. Got busy with it. Awesome little girl. I talked to Sherry in 2010 or something. Sherry was a nice girl. I would have fucked the shit out of Sherry. Hell yeah. She wasn't nice to me when we first met when I was about 9 years old through Jamie. But then when I met her again, and she was Steve's boyfriend, it was fun. Steve would go and he'd leave us sometimes, and I'd hang out with Sherry for hours. And she was like a big sister. She was sweet. She had a nice little fifth. How old? She was young too, so she was like, yeah, probably 15 or 16. I thought she was so much older. Perfect little titties and tight little jeans. Sherry was a cutie. And then Steve started banging some chick from the. He started banging two chicks from the White House. You know, it's a halfway house for girls. Wow, that's so sick. He was a cool motherfucker. Wow, he was. Yeah, he started banging some chick, Star, and another chick, Stacy, from the halfway house. And they'd come over. I used to have to call there, and then we'd go hang out at the girls' house, the girls' halfway house. All these little teenage criminal girls, huge titties. Most of them were into hip hop, but we got some of them to come over to Steve's, and they got a crash course and some metal dick. I remember going over to Sherry's house a couple times. Yeah, watching Sherry in the closet ride that dick like a bucking bronco, furiously, both feet on the ground, riding the dick, just just squatting on that motherfucker furiously. Yeah, my friends were twisted. They would take out their dicks and masturbate in front of you. Steve never did that, but a lot of them would. I remember that was traumatizing for me. My bass player would do that a lot. Stop looking at me. What? You turn around and you'd see him. Stop looking at me. It's disgusting. Go to the fucking bathroom or something. You can't be doing this right next to me. I'm trying to watch. You know, you'd put on a porno tape too. Porno tapes were big back then. Your bass player would just whip out his dick like nobody was in the room. No blanket, no nothing. Stop looking at me. Steve, he's jerking his dick over here. Dave, stop it. Disgusting. Dirty boys. Fucking metal. I did Francis upstairs in Jay's room. I couldn't take it. She's sitting there all night looking hot in her little jeans.